Welcome to Cricket News' coverage of the IPL 2020, and today we're talking about the defending champions, the Mumbai Indians. Now, when you look at this Mumbai Indians side, when you think of the squad, right, I'm just going to give you a small exercise. If you think of Mumbai Indians, just close your eyes, right, and try to imagine or try to picture what the squad is like. Not the 11, but the squad. And I'm pretty sure that almost all of you will get it 100% right, because not a lot has changed, and that's the strength of this side. They maintain their core, they know who they want, and they keep them around for as long as they want them to be around, to be very honest. So one of the big strengths of this side is that the spine of the team is very well settled. But not just that, the squad as well, the squad players as well, the replacement players as well, are people that this franchise know and people that can come in and do the job. So if you do that exercise, I'm sure you'll be very successful. If you're not, well, that's a different matter altogether. Now, when they went into the auction, they didn't really need to add a lot of players into their kitty, to be very honest, but they've gone on to add Nathan Coulter-Nile and Chris Lynn among a couple of young players. They've also added Saurav Tiwari, who's come back as well into this Mumbai Indians unit, Mohsin Khan as well. But if you look at the additions that Mumbai Indians made, right, you wouldn't seem to think that any of these players would actually figure in the 11 except Nathan Coulter-Nile. So the Mumbai Indians that played last season, the team that effectively won the title last season, you could see 90 to 95% of that team again don the blue and gold come IPL 2020, come match day 1 versus CSK. However, one of the notable absentees will be no Lasith Malinga. Lasith Malinga is not just a Mumbai Indians legend, he is an IPL legend, the highest wicket taker of all time. Malinga has not just provided Mumbai Indians wickets at the top, but he is a depth bowling specialist, an absolute pioneer in the industry, and even at the ripe age that he's at, he delivered it in the IPL 2019 final, and those services will be missed by the Mumbai Indians for sure. They of course have Trent Bolt, who's come into the team, who's a great addition, left-hand bowler as well, so that left-right combination with Bumrah could do some good business for Mumbai, but it's not Lasith Malinga. So that, I think, is a concern for me, and I think will be a concern for both the Mumbai Indians as well. However, another concern is the lack of an attacking spin bowler. Now, bear in mind, I think everybody who's gone on to analyze the Mumbai Indians has said that the lack of spin options might haunt Mumbai Indians in the UAE, where conditions are likely to suit spin bowlers. But I think Mumbai spin bowlers are criminally underrated. If you look at Krunal Pandya, if you look at Rahul Chahar as well, the way he's grown, Mayank Markande obviously has moved on, but these three spinners were one of the best defensive spinners in the IPL last couple of seasons. Their economy rate is absolutely outstanding, somewhere in the sixes, in the late sixes, and these bowlers effectively come in the middle overs, tend to suffocate the teams, and then when teams try to break out and try to hit them out of the park towards the end, that's when the wickets begin to tumble, and that's how Mumbai went on to suffocate a lot of the teams. So Krunal and Rahul, of course, will go on to be part of the 11 and will go on to carry the mantle. But if one or two of them get injured, then who do you fall back upon? You have Jayant Yadav, of course, you have Anukul Roy, but in conditions in the UAE where every team has a frontline attacking spinner, Mumbai might just not have that option. However, these are just a couple of troubles that the Mumbai Indians have. There are no serious gaping holes that this side have. That's how well settled this team is. That's how well sorted this team is. And the scoreboard has it to show. 4 titles already, and you'd like to think that they'll be contenders for the 5th one. Now, it's actually a futile exercise this, if I go on to predict my probable 11, but I'm going to do it just anyway. I think Rohit has made it clear that he opens with Quinton de Kock. I think these two have been absolutely brilliant last year. Rohit, of course, was beginning to get into the form that he eventually got into in the World Cup, but Quinton de Kock just took Mumbai Indians by storm. He was a great addition, went on to become the highest run scorer, and I think in a sense he gave Rohit that comfort at the top. So Quinton and Rohit at top. We have Surya Kumar Yadav who comes at 3, who's been brilliant for MI ever since he's come back to the franchise. So he stays there close to that India call-up, remember, like Rohit said. And then you have Ishan Kishan who comes in at 4. And I'm going to play Ishan there no matter what. He's a left-handed bloke, plays spin very well, and I think he's cemented his place in the squad as well. I'll come to that in a bit. Pollard obviously comes in at 5, and then you have Pandya and Pandya. So Pollard, Pandya, this is your core of the Mumbai Indians, an enviable lower middle order like none other in the league. And I think the Pandya brothers, especially Hardik, will be raring to go once come match day 1. So of course once Krunal comes in at 7, you have Nathan Coulter-Nile, and I think that's going to be a big addition for the Mumbai Indians. You could look to play Mitch McClanahan because he's someone that the Mumbai Indians have trusted for a very long time. But I think Nathan Coulter-Nile comes in with that little bit with the bat as well, and I think Mumbai Indians prefer that little stability, little assurance, if you like, at the bottom of the order. So I think Nathan Coulter-Nile plays, and then of course Chahar, Bumrah and Trent Bolt. So that I think is my Mumbai Indians 11, and I think it's an absolutely strong team, one of the best in the league for sure. I want to turn your attention towards Ishan Kishan here, and I think for the last few years, I think Ishan Kishan is someone whom everyone has sort of not cast their eyes on a little too much, because it's easy to be overshadowed by the other names in this franchise. When you share a batting order with Rohit, with the Pandya brothers, with Pollard, it's easy to get a little overshadowed. But don't take anything away from Ishan Kishan. He's slowly but easily cemented his place in this Mumbai Indians team. Think of the 62 he scored in 20 balls last year. Think of the run out, the big run out in the final where he got MS Dhoni going back to the pavilion. James Pament on the cricketnews.com podcast told us exclusively that moment was one of the defining moments of Mumbai in the season. So I think Ishan Kishan is someone who will have a run this season, and it's very important for him that he capitalizes on these conditions. He's a left-hand batsman. There are spinners that will be operating in tandem at times, and especially with matches that you play in Sharjah, you could look at mid-wicket as options, and he does that very well. So Ishan Kishan has had a good time in the Ranji Trophy sector as well, and this is a crucial season for him. But here's where it gets very interesting. I think it all boils down to Rohit Sharma yet again. Rohit Sharma, since last IPL, remember, like we spoke about earlier as well, that was just the beginning of his form. Now, if you remember, he went on to get 50s and 40s and 50s and 60s, but the big chunk of runs that he scored in 2019 came in the World Cup that followed the IPL. And then he's grown on from strength to strength. He's made his test comeback. He scored that big 100 in Vizag. And he's just gone from strength to strength. So this Rohit Sharma is a different Rohit Sharma. He's a much improved, much more settled, much more confident, much more calmer Rohit Sharma. And I think you'll see that in the time to come. Of course, he's not had a lot of batting to do in the time during the lockdown, but I think he's grown from strength to strength as a player, as a captain, and as an individual. There's a very important saying, and I think it's Harsha Bhogle who said this, that when Sachin bats, India sleeps well. But I think when Rohit plays well, Mumbai dances to all its glory. So everything will depend on Rohit, and this Mumbai Indians team could look at a 5th IPL title.